So I'd like to take the time to welcome you all to this webcast from A2K Technologies, showing all AutoCAD 2015 new features and enhancements. So the whole thing should take maybe about 30 minutes or so. So let's get straight into it. This will be recorded and will be available for download at the A2K Technologies website, and I'll show you a link to that towards the end. Okay, so let's get going. If you guys have any questions, just put them in the question tab down at the bottom, and most of them I'll probably get to towards the end of the session, but we'll be keeping an eye on that. Okay, so the new features. First, the striking one is the interface. There's a couple of updates there, some visual and graphical ones. We have a new tab page for, I guess, quickly starting and accessing existing drawings. We've got some enhancements to the ribbon itself. Command preview is a nice new feature. We've got some help functions to try and help you find things in the ribbon and so on. And I'm also going to show you a few features for geographically locating your drawing or project, and some extra productivity tools as well. Okay, so that's the end of my PowerPoint. Let's go and take a look at AutoCAD 2015. Okay, so when you start AutoCAD 2015, this is the screen that you're going to be greeted with. It's similar to the welcome screen that we had in 2013, except that was kind of a separate window. This is actually a drawing tab. So you can see at the top the new tabs that were featured in AutoCAD 2014. They're still available to us, and our welcome screen is a tab now. So from here you can start drawings that will access your templates. You can open files and browse. You can open sheet sets, and there's some options there for getting extra templates online and so on. Also, what we get here are a list of your recent documents. So here are a few of my recent ones that I've had open, so I can open them straight from here. What's quite nice about this is you've got push pins just beside them. So if it's the same drawings that you're opening every day, you can pin them, and they're going to be available to you whenever you want to open them. Okay, so that's quite nice. You can dock quite a few drawings in here and access them wherever it is you like. Now, I'm just going to open up a sample drawing here. Okay. And let me just go open files altogether. Okay, so when you open a file, it looks as normal, but just back up to this tab again. If I hit the plus sign for a new tab, what it does, it actually brings me back to the welcome screen. Okay, so again, I've got the exact same options. Just while I'm in here as well, you do have a little learn section down at the bottom. You got some tutorial videos just here. There's a learn tab down at the bottom. But you can set this up to actually just open a blank new file, which is probably maybe a bit more useful to a lot of you if you're starting new drawings quite a bit. So there's just the first variable that will come across. The first new one is a variable called new tab mode. Okay, so new tab mode, if you change the value from 1 to 0, now when I hit my plus, it will open up my default template. Okay, so new tab mode is that variable there. Okay, so let's take a look at the interface. So the first striking thing to look at is the color of it. It's gone a lot darker. The idea of it is to reduce eye strain. Okay, so all your ribbons, your tabs, your properties palette, your tool palettes, and so on. I've kind of got into more of a dark look. If you're not a fan of this, that's fine. You can change it back to the previous version. Application menu, hitting your main options dialog, and within display, you have an option here for either dark or light, and that will bring back the color to your ribbon if that's what you're after. Okay, so you can see it's just changed up there. I'm going to stick with the dark for now. Okay, so that's our color schemes. Workspaces, where we used to have access to our various workspaces, or were up in the quick access toolbar at the top of the screen. They've moved that just right down to the bottom right here. You can access your workspaces. Now, I'm sorry, I'm clicking on this, but I'm working on a double screen, so it's actually popping up on my second screen here that you can't see. But that will give you a list of all your workspaces, drafting, annotation, 3D modeling, and so on. But I'm just going to have to drag that back. But so just access them, bottom right-hand corner there, the small gear lever. Okay, a couple of enhancements to the ribbon itself. Let me just change to drafting and annotation there. So a couple of enhancements to the ribbon itself. The main ones are these kind of view galleries that they've got going on here. In your Insert tab, when you now go to insert a block, it will actually give you a list on the screen of all the blocks in the drawing, so you can actually just insert them straight from there. Okay, so it'll give you a list, a preview, and so on, and you can access whichever drawing or block it is that you like. It's kind of like a permanent tool palette, I guess. Now, you'll also find these view galleries in your Annotate tab when you start going into your drop-downs for dimensions and leaders and so on. It will give you a preview of what the leader or the dimension style actually looks like. The same with the table as well. It'll give you a preview of what that table looks like. Okay. Within the View tab, instead of using the options dialog box and variables that we used in the past, we now have icons just for turning off things like the UCS icon, turning off the view cube, and turning off the navigation bar as well. If you want to turn off the file tabs themselves, you can also turn off file tabs as well if you're stuck for screen real estate. Okay. You'll also notice a new tab here, actually the BIM 360 tab. So if any of you guys are actually using the Autodesk software BIM 360, you have a tab here that will engage with that just a little bit quicker, and flash pinpointing and so on. But that's just a different software altogether. But you've got access to that if you are using it. A handy one for you guys that are using multiple layout tabs. So you can see I've just got a bunch of 15 or so layouts down at the bottom of the screen. When you have too many, you do have a little up arrow so that you can actually quickly access them here. So you don't have to use that little side arrow and go and find your 30th or 40th layout tab. Okay. A couple of small ones. When we're drawing, there's been a really nice improvement in how we actually select objects now. So we always did have window and crossing selections, but if you actually click and hold on your mouse now, you actually get this lasso. Okay, so it's a lasso crossing or a lasso selection. So just by clicking and holding, you can kind of get real kind of complex selection sorts from that. The same works if you're going right to left, you'll get a complex window selection. It might take a little while to kind of get used to it there, but that's just by clicking and holding. For those of you that might maybe get a little bit annoying sometimes until you get used to it, you can turn that off. In your options dialog box, under selection, we have this guy here, allow press and drag for lasso. So you can turn that off and you're not going to get that anymore. So you can click and hold and you're just going to get your window and crossing selections. You might notice as well when we're selecting objects, it's gone from the dashed type of line that we had. When we select them now, they kind of highlight in a big thick color and almost highlight in blue as well. Okay, so it's just gone from crossing, gone from the dashed line to kind of a thick bluish color. Okay, next up. Here I am. The next up is your command preview. We started seeing this in 2014, where you could preview what a fillet or what a chamfer actually looked like before you completed the command. They've incorporated that now into trim and extend. If I start my trim tool, or sorry, I'll go with extend first. Extend. As I highlight over a object, it will show me exactly where it's going to extend to. So if I'm happy with that, I can click. Okay, so it'll give you that option. Same goes for trim. When we're using our trim tool, when we highlight over it, it'll kind of show it in a gray. It's got a small red X there as well, the part of the line that's actually going to be trimmed. Okay, so no more surprises. That guy can also be turned off if you would like. I'm going to go back up to options here. And within options, we have selection preview. Okay, so you can actually just turn off your command preview in here. Okay. Some small things about the cursor. When you start commands like move and so on, it will actually show up a move symbol just beside your cursor, so just in case you forget what command you might be in. And you also might start noticing, see the orange dashed line? That actually shows you where you're after coming from. Also, the object you're actually moving is appearing in a shaded gray as well. Okay, so move. Same thing goes for copy. You get a copy symbol, and it will tell you where you're copying from. So I'll just do one more. Same with rotate. It'll give you the rotate symbol. The kind of nice thing about the rotate one is if you're putting in angles, the rotate symbol actually will change to the direction in which your units are set, whether they're clockwise or anti-clockwise, so you kind of have more of an idea which way it's going to flip. Okay, so if you were to change your units to clockwise, and start your rotate tool, it actually faces the other direction. Okay. Next up, just dividing up your screen. So using model space viewports. These are not new. They came in around 2013 version. But in your View tab there, you got viewport configuration. So you can divide your screen up into maybe two separate parts. The enhancements to this tool is that you can actually personally resize the size of the views. This is handy if you're working in maybe a 3D environment where you've got a floor plan and maybe your 3D model on the left-hand side, and you can jump in and out of either. What you can also do is, if you want to divide up again, what I can do is hold down Control, and that will actually, I can drag up over a new window, okay, just by holding down Control. Okay. And there we go. When you want to get back to your single window, just go to your viewport configuration. You can hit single, and you're back in business. Okay. I'm just going to pop into just a nice blank drawing here for a second. A brand new feature is the isometric drafting feature. So if you're drawing in 2D, but you just want a nice quick isometric sketch, instead of playing around with their polar settings and angles and so on, if you come down to your status bar, which is kind of moved just down here to the bottom right, you have an icon there for isometric drafting. Okay, so you can go left, right, or top. Okay, I'll just go right, make sure the tool is turned on. So when I start drawing lines, I can instantly start drafting just an isometric sketch. And your tracking works and so on. Okay, there you go. If you use top or left, obviously it will just alter the angles, 30 on one side, 60 on the other, and so on. All right, let's get back to my floor plan here. Okay, so some text tools, modifications to multiple line text. Let's take a look at this guy. So first one is just very simple. When I double click on my text, instead of using the drag buttons on the right hand side up at the bar, it's kind of just got a bit more dynamic. Just on the bottom right hand corner, you can choose to drag out, and it will actually resize kind of depth and width all in one go. So it's just a little bit more kind of user friendly, a bit more natural. Okay, the next one here is, excuse me, automatic bulleting. This is quite nice. So when you're creating multi-line text, if I were to just hit Enter and just type maybe 1 bracket and hit Enter, I get a small little symbol up, which is basically saying that I'm it's going to remember that format, and it's just going to start bulleting. So and so on. Okay, so it'll just remember that, and you can stop that at any point just by hitting that symbol, or just deleting your last bullet point. It works for numbers, but it also works for dashes. You can put in a dash, and again it will pick that guy up. So automatic numbering. Oops. Similar to what you'll find in Microsoft Word. Okay. Another kind of neat little feature is just the ability to put in fractions. So now you can just 1/2, and it will automatically stack it as a fraction. And again, you get the small little dynamic symbol down at the bottom. And hit that guy, and you've got an option here for keeping it as a diagonal, as a horizontal. And you've also got some stack properties up here at the top. Okay, so you can change your values. You've got horizontal. You can even go into tolerances or decimals even. Some options for the positioning of it and what the text size is. So it's a certain percentage of your actual text size. So there you have it. Okay. Also, you'll find actually just to let you know, you've got a new match properties tool within the text editor itself. So it's kind of like a format painter, but that just appears when you're in the text editor. Okay, I'm going to come down to these guys over here. All right. So probably the nicest thing about your new text tools is the ability to actually automatically align your text, so different chunks of text. In my Annotate tab, it's a pretty small symbol. It's just right there beside multi-line text itself. I can select any clumps of text I've got. It will ask me to select an object to align to. I'll pick my top one, and there you go. You can stack them. You do have extra options for aligning these. So as I pick my top one and I'm aligning it, in my command line I have an option there for options. O for options, and have things like distribute, which is quite nice. So I can actually distribute them just by moving my cursor to wherever I think looks good. Similarly, in options, you've got an option here for set spacing. Okay, so I can choose to have them all 500 mil apart. Kind of in the middle of something there, sorry. O for options, set spacing, and maybe 500. There you go. Okay, so that spacing works from the bottom of one piece of text to the top of the other. All right. That is it with text. Dimensions, just one small feature that they've developed is when you're using dimensions that have got extension lines. Some of you may be working in mechanical, will get your tooltips pretty close to the objects yourself. They've set it so that you cannot accidentally snap to the end of an extension line. Okay, so your snap marker does not come up. In your Insert tab, what you've got over here on the far right is Geolocation for map. Okay, so what this is going to do, it's going to connect to your Autodesk 360 account. So you can set up an Autodesk 360 account completely free. And you can enter in a location for your project. Okay, so what I'm going to do, if I'm somewhere here in Sydney, I can pick wherever my site is going to be, and drop a marker. Okay, that's a rough way of doing it. Up at the top, you've got latitude and longitude. So in theory, you should be really getting this from your surveyor if you want an accurate layout. Okay. But I'm just going to drop a point in here and hit next. Again, from your surveyor, you're going to need your GIS coordinate system. I've got just this Australia one here. I'm just going to pick this guy. Hit next, and what it'll ask you then is an insertion point. So what point in that map is the equivalent point on your drawing? So I'm just going to pick maybe a bottom corner here. It'll ask you then for a north direction. If you know it, I'm going to accept just the default of up. And I'm just going to give it a second, and it's going to pull through that map into my drawing. Okay. There we go. Now, so as I zoom out, the map just continues getting bigger. So it is a live link to the mapping service. Okay, so what you're going to want to do at this stage is just maybe crop a particular view of what you want to keep. Your ribbon will give you a couple of map tools when you're in this mode. And one you've got up here is either capture an area, so that's where you will just go in and drag an area around a certain portion of the map, and the next one is capture a viewport. Okay, your viewport is basically just what you can see on the screen in front of you. It depends on how zoomed in or out you are. So I'm just going to go capture viewport. Okay, so what you'll notice is just a rectangular box the size of my view has appeared, and but still you've got that massive map in the background, which isn't really always convenient. So what you can do at that point is go up to your map and you can turn it off. Okay, so that exact portion of the map that's going to be available to you. That's embedded on your drawing there. Okay, you can then use that in your layouts, print them, and so on. Okay, at any point you can reposition it. You can even remove your location, or turn your map on and off again. Okay, let's geolocate in your project. There was some tools there. Sorry, I should have shown you these for just playing around with the fade control and so on, so you can fade it a little bit back, and use that to maybe sketch a rough site plan at a feasibility stage. It will work quite well. All right. Next up is the design feed. Okay, so okay, so just in your Autodesk 360 tab up there, you got this guy here called the design feed. And what this is basically, it's almost like a pin board for your drawing where you can consult. You can consult with either your colleagues, or if you're working in a cloud environment, you can consult with your consultants and just add comments and notes about a particular drawing. Okay, so I can create a post saying, let's say, foundation wall problem. And you have options then here for highlighting that particular area where you might have a problem on site. So I can draw maybe a box around that area where there's an issue. Okay, you'll see a small blue dash line and a comment symbol will appear. Other options I would have had was associate a point, so kind of just put a push pin in there. But I can actually attach images. So any of your site photographs or whatever it may be, you can attach and post them. Now you will get this warning up. Okay, so any images and so on that you do attach to the design feed, everyone can see them. So even if you just email it or whatever, they'll be able to see these options. So if you want to send it without the design feed, if you just use an e-transmit or just save it as another file, they won't be able to see them issues. So just within e-transmit, in transmittal setups, you have just this tick box here, remove design feed. So just keep that guy in mind, because you might be just using this for in-house. Now, if you're connected in 360 and so on, you can also tag people in a post. So you could tag the architect or the structural engineer or whoever it is, and they'll be notified when they access the model. Other things that you can do is maybe reply to posts. If a problem gets fixed, you can reply to it. And at any point in time, you can also just resolve it. Okay, so when it's resolved, sorry guys, I'm just noticing your screen might be a little behind me there. Some technical difficulties here. Okay, sorry, I think we're up to speed there. So just what I was telling you there is you can reply to your colleagues' posts, and you can also mark them as resolved, so they don't actually show up in the design feed unless you really want. Up in your settings up at the top here, you have a few new features where you do not want to show any of these guys. You can hide them, so you can see my tag has just appeared. When you want to see them all again, show bubbles, so that'll just give you a small little number tag, and you might have a varying number of these around the drawing. But also you got show extended bubbles. Okay, so that will just show the name and the actual comment itself. Okay, when you mark these guys as being resolved, just in your options up here, there's just a small little tick box for show resolved. Okay, and that will just show the current ones. Okay, at any point in time, show the resolved markups, and everything will pop back up. Okay, so because it's transferable via email and so on, this design feed can work potentially very well if you get everybody on board with it. You know, easy for markups, consolidating photographs and associating them, and so on. Okay, so just the last thing I want to show you before we get onto some of your questions there is just point clouds. So AutoCAD for the last few years has been able to handle point clouds. In our Insert tab, you have a point cloud option just there in the middle. So you've got an extra button here. This is basically Autodesk Recap. So it's another Autodesk software which basically deals with point cloud manipulation and modeling and so on. What that icon basically does is it just opens up that Recap software. Okay, but you can attach your own. You can attach your own point clouds. So we're going to we can bring in RCSs and RCPs. RCPs are from Recap itself, and import them into your drawing. Okay, I'm just going to open one up that's already brought in, just to speed things up a little. Okay, so this is a point cloud taken of a room in a building, some sort of workshop. So what we can do to this guy is, maybe use it for maybe just investigation. Use it for maybe modeling around if you wanted to create another 3D model of it, or kind of just work in conjunction with it, placing in objects and so on. Point clouds are getting quite popular. Point clouds and laser scans and so on. Just a few simple tools that we can do. Let me get into maybe a top view here. A few simple things we can do is we can crop it. So maybe I just want a polygon crop, and what I can do is just take out a certain section of the building. Okay, and that will allow me to just kind of look into it themselves. So the point clouds themselves they're all done in color these days. So that's the color of the actual workshop itself. You can choose to kind of display it in AutoCAD colors if you want. You've also got some options up here for if you're doing something like site plans and so on, where you're going to have contours, you can actually color it by elevation. Okay, it doesn't really make much sense in this particular example, but yeah, you've got options for coloring them by elevation and so on. You've also got color mapping here, where you can go in and change the colors of these guys if needs be. So if you wanted to kind of use this in conjunction with if you guys are starting 3D modeling and so on, you can start bringing in things like blocks and so on and setting them up in the project itself. Okay, so what you'll start seeing is little snap markers, so you can actually snap 2 points within a point cloud, okay, and put in your beams or whatever it may be. Okay, so I'll just put in a steel girder in there. All right. Like getting into, if you're using these guys just to kind of create 2D drawings, you can get into 2D a 2D view, crop the top off the building, and just use your markers to snap to points. So you can see that it will actually pick up points within the point cloud itself. One thing to look out for there is just make sure that your 3D snapping is on. On the very bottom right-hand corner of the screen, down near your status bar, you've got a fly-up menu. So you've got 3D object snap. Just make sure that's ticked, and that will actually display it in your status bar down at the bottom. I'm just going to go quickly into object snap settings. Okay, and these are the guys you're looking at. Point cloud, snap to a node, and snap to nearest to the plane. Okay, and also you've got some options there for perpendicular and so on. So just make sure it's turned on, and you'll be able to snap and manipulate and insert objects into your drawing. Now, other than that, AutoCAD is still working off the 2013 file format, so you don't need to upgrade any of your files or anything. So we're working still in AutoCAD 2013. I'd like to thank you all again for attending. If you got any further questions, please email us. There's some contact details down below. If you want to share this with any of your colleagues, it will be downloadable probably from next week on the A2K Technologies website. Okay, I hope everyone found that helpful, and that you enjoy the new AutoCAD, and I guess I'll talk to you guys next time. Okay, have a great day and a great weekend coming up.